Morrowind, a land of alien beauty, countless wonders, and numerous adventures for you to go on. But it can just, at times, maybe perhaps feel just a bit empty, like, shouldn't there be more people just wandering about? Well, if you've ever thought that, today's Mod of the Day just might be for you, because today, for our Mod of the Day, we have Repopulated Morrowind by GrumblingVomit. And basically, what this mod does is, well, it seeks to populate the cities, towns, and villages of Morrowind with just a ton of random NPCs. And this is a fairly popular genre of mod. Like, we get a ton of mods like this pretty much all the time. In 2021, we had Friends and Foes by Danae. In 2020, we had NWC Random NPC by the NWAS and Mushrooms team, and of course one of the top 10 most popular mods of all time for Morrowind is Morrowind Comes Alive by Neoptolemy. All those mods do basically this same thing. They try and make the landscapes and cities of Morrowind feel, well, more alive, with a lot more activity, a lot more NPCs. Just, walking around, wandering about, lollygagging, or, doing whatever it is they do, which is mostly just walking around in circles, if we're being honest, but, it makes the place feel more alive. And, real quick, it is worth noting that Danae has, in the past, written an article just, sort of outlining the pros and cons of each of these random NPC mods, though that was before Repopulated Morrowind, so I don't think that article has been updated to include this. But anyway, we're going to focus on that today. And basically, what Repopulated Morrowind does is, it adds NPC level lists to all the various towns, cities, and villages of Morrowind. So you'll get randomly generated NPCs in, each location. And that, as far as that goes, that is fairly broadly similar to how, most random NPC mods, do this. But what makes Repopulated Morrowind distinct and unique is that each of these cities and locations do have their own, kind of unique leveled list. You won't find the exact same types of NPCs in, say, both Balmora and Ald'Ruhn. Like, they have their own distinct leveled lists, so you'll always find, NPCs of a particular type in, say, Ald'Ruhn, and, different NPCs in a town like Dagon Fel. And the other thing here is that most of the new randomly generated NPCs are Dunmer. Like, this is a very Dunmeri-centric NPC mod that primarily just expands the Dunmeri population. Which makes sense, Morrowind is the home of the Dunmer, and they are famously xenophobic. It honestly kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense how the vanilla game did this, because in the vanilla game, like, for an xenophobic people, you could find, foreigners in basically every corner of Morrowind in the vanilla game, except for the Ashlanders. That was like the one, purely Dunmeri part of the vanilla game. Like, it didn't matter if you were going to Voss, or if you were going to Telvanni, you always saw foreigners in those towns. And this just, massively expands the Dunmeri population to better balance out that ratio of Dunmeri to, foreigner. Morrowind is, again, just, famously xenophobic, and this just helps make it feel just maybe a little less cosmopolitan and a little more Dunmeri focused. Though having said that, this doesn't necessarily only add Dunmer. In the cases of Dagon Fel and Solstheim, this adds, a greater variety of Nords. And in the case of Imperial towns, you might just, see a few more Imperials walking about. But otherwise, it is very Dunmeri-centric. And one other thing to note here that kind of makes this a bit different from other, randomly generated NPC mods, is that all these NPCs, or at least all the non-generic NPCs, have unique lore-friendly names. So that means all the Dunmer have, Dunmeri lore-friendly names, and all the Nords have Nordic lore-friendly names. They don't have generic names like, in Morrowind Comes Alive, where every NPC is like a commoner or an adventurer or, something like that. Instead, they have names that help, make them blend in with the NPCs in the vanilla game. Though there are some new generic NPCs that you will find in Repopulated Morrowind. Namely, there's some new gods for the Hlaalu, Telvanni, and Redoran. There's also some new types of generic NPCs, like the Dust Merchants, which you might find in Ald'Ruhn. And these are just generic merchants that sell some common goods, and to just pull up some footage here, they have just a really fantastic looking, art design. Like, I love everything about how these characters look. Like, this armor is just truly amazing. And that brings me to another thing about Repopulated Morrowind. This does use just a ton of assets from OAAB Data and Tamriel Data. So that means that this uses clothing and armor from both Tamriel Data and OAAB Data to help these NPCs just look, a little more unique. Not only that, but this also, blends in some of the faces and hairs that you'll find in Tamriel Data. So, again, just to make all these NPCs just feel a bit more unique and to add a bit more diversity to the population of Tamriel, and to integrate all that, all that new content. So basically, to break it down, the three core features of Repopulated Morrowind are basically that it's Dunmeri-centric, it has lore-friendly unique names for each NPC, and it uses OAAB and Tamriel Data. But there are just a ton of other miscellaneous features here. Namely, there's the new Hlaalu, Telvanni, and Redoran gods, which all have, new sets of armor and have been integrated into each territory. You'll also find a variety of just upper-class NPCs in Mournhold, just, sort of giving the upper-class population more representation in the capital Morrowind. In addition to this, you'll find more egg miners and egg mines, more Ashlanders and, Ashlander camps, some of whom have some new sets of armor. You'll find more members of the Kimona Tong and Dark Brotherhood in just various locations. And you'll find more Morag Tong assassins at various branches of the Morag Tong. And fun fact, if you're, a member of the Morag Tong, you can actually hire some of these assassins to, come with you. So if you've got a particularly, difficult rate of execution, you can just bring, some backup with you. But anyway, overall, this just expands the population of pretty much every town, city, and village in the vanilla game. Sometimes doubling the population. But, I actually found this to be a fairly lightweight expansion to the NPCs of Morrowind. It doesn't, double the population of every town, city, and village, like, a lot of the fishing villages, like Ald'Ruhn, Hlaalu, and Gunarmok are still pretty light in terms of population. And really only the big cities, like Ald'Ruhn and Mournhold, have gotten just a really substantial expansion in terms of population. So, this is still fairly lightweight and, lore-friendly.
Yes?
But anyway, that's pretty much just everything the mod does at the moment. There are future plans to add more NPCs to the various towns and cities of the Terran-built mainland, and also to add things like mercenaries that you can hire and things like that. But right now, this is a really neat expansion to the population of Morrowind, and one that actually works pretty well with other random NPC mods. Like, if you want to use this with another random NPC mod, it should work pretty well. But anyway, that's just our mod of the day. So as always, I've been your host, Dark Elf Guy. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.
Go ahead, stranger. Can we hurry this along?
What say you?